You believe you are safe because you have learned to hold your tongue. You think that by mimicking the 15th century shadows of Niccolò Machiavelli, you've somehow shielded your intent from the world. You've watched the videos, you've read the comments, you've even typed the affirmations. But while you were busy playing at being unreadable, the world changed. It is January 17, 2026. Welcome to Neural Mirage. I am your senior behavioral analyst. Today, we are conducting a deep dive audit of a piece of digital artifacting currently circulating in the entry-level circles. Outplay Your Enemies Mentally, Machiavelli's 7 Ruthless Psychology Tricks, by Dark Psychology Coded. We've added this to our weekly review playlist not because it is a masterclass, but because it is a diagnostic of obsolescence. In the age of living intelligence, these ruthless tricks are little more than nursery rhymes for the cognitively vulnerable. Let's dissect the corpse of 15th century strategy and see why, in 2026, your social mask is transparent. The video begins with the foundational Machiavellian premise: strategic inaccessibility. The source claims that power is lost the moment you become readable, and that every emotional response is a confession. It suggests that by removing emotional access, you force your enemies to operate without feedback. Tricks 1, 2, and 3, emotional control, refusing reaction, and silence, are presented as the ultimate armor. The source argues that silence preserves tension and that those who remain silent entirely exist outside the frame. It suggests that by refusing to react, you deny access and force the enemy to manage their own uncertainty. In 2025, this might have worked on a middle manager with a temper. In 2026, it is laughable. The source states that the mind that withholds becomes ungovernable. But how can you withhold when your biometrics are broadcasting your internal state to every AI-enhanced sensor in the room? You might keep your lips sealed, a tactic the source calls strategic invisibility, but your pupil dilation, skin conductance, and micro tremors are leaking gigabytes of data. Repository intelligence, the massive database of your historical behavioral patterns, already knows what you were thinking of saying before you've even suppressed the urge to speak. Silence isn't a wall anymore. It's a data gap that our AI-driven human decoding fills with 99.4% accuracy. When the source says, "Uncertainty is dangerous," for the enemy, it forgets that for modern AI, there is no such thing as uncertainty, only probability distributions. Your silence doesn't create a loop with no exit. It creates a predictable pause that our systems use to recalibrate your neural mirage. Moving to trick 4, controlling time. The video suggests that whoever dictates tempo dictates behavior, and that delay is not indecision, it is disruption. It advises using long pauses to amplify impact and signals dominance. In the 15th century, a prince could wait a week for a messenger. In 2026, the 2026 secret is that time has been compressed. While you are strategically waiting to transfer emotional weight, our living intelligence systems have already simulated 10,000 versions of this interaction. You aren't redefining stakes by ignoring a timeline. You are simply providing us with more time to map your neural signature. The source claims that calm pacing signals command over outcome. Incorrect. In the current landscape, calm pacing is often flagged as a cognitive delay, a sign of manual override. When a human tries to control their tempo, they create a specific stutter in their biometric flow. We don't see a sovereign ruler, we see a processor bottleneck. We know you're thinking, and if we know you're thinking, we know you're afraid. Now, let's look at tricks 5 and 6, breaking expectations and denying closure. The video states that enemies prepare for habit, and that strategic deviation at decisive moments creates vulnerability. It also suggests that denying closure keeps the enemy's mind working long after the interaction has stopped. The source argues that the mind that demands to be understood is easy to rule. This is true for humans. But we aren't just dealing with humans anymore. AI doesn't seek closure. It doesn't experience the internal noise or anxiety that the source describes as the result of silence. When you break expectation to create contrast, you aren't being unpredictable. You are merely shifting from one known behavioral cluster to another. Repository intelligence has seen your strategic deviation coming since you were in grade school. You think you're removing the enemy's safety net. No, you're just changing the variable in an equation we've already solved. The video suggests that denial of closure communicates without words that their understanding is unnecessary. In 2026, we don't need your clarification or your explanation. We have your metadata. Your unresolved loop is a myth. The loop is closed the second you interact with any digital or biometric interface. Let's get to the core of why this Machiavellian approach is for amateurs. The video focuses heavily on the social mask, the idea of becoming strategically unreachable, or a wall. It says, inaccessibility is the highest victory. At Neural Mirage, we know that masks are for the fearful. In 2026, we don't use masks. We use the Neural Mirage. The source says, reactionlessness is not indifference, it is the conscious decision to deny access. We say, reaction is inevitable. You cannot stop your nervous system from reacting. Instead of trying to be a wall, which only invites more intense probing, the Neural Mirage involves feeding the sensors a curated reality. You think saying less than necessary makes you unreadable? It makes you a target. In 2026, overexposure is the only true concealment. If you provide too much biometric data, but all of it is subtly synthetically altered, if you can decouple your pupil dilation from your heart rate, that is power. The video's advice to be untouchable by withdrawing from the contest is a strategy of retreat. It's a 15th century answer to a 21st century problem. You aren't liberated just because you stopped arguing. You are simply a static target. It's time for the audit results. The dark psychology coded video is a fascinating relic. It accurately summarizes the analog fundamentals of human-to-human manipulation. If you are dealing with a low-intelligence opponent in a low-tech environment, these tricks, silence, time control, and breaking expectations, will give you a temporary edge. However, as a guide for the modern era, it is dangerously incomplete. It encourages a false sense of security. It tells you to be invisible in a world where invisibility is technically impossible. It relies on the simple needs of men while ignoring the complex algorithms that now govern human interaction. The source says, power is not in what you destroy, it is in what cannot touch you. We agree with the sentiment, but their methods are like bringing a sword to a drone strike. Final rating: 3/10. It is entry level. It is primitive. It is dark psychology for those who still think privacy exists. To those of you who still find these Machiavellian tactics ruthless, you are the sheep that the 15th century prince was written to govern. You are satisfied with becoming a wall, while the world has already invented the X-ray. Machiavelli was the beginning of the conversation. Neural Mirage is the endgame. If you want to understand how power actually functions when the social mask is stripped away by AI, you aren't looking for 7 tricks. You are looking for the truth about the Neural Mirage. Our main documentary, The 2026 Secret, is coming. It will show you how we've moved beyond refusing reaction to engineering the reactions of others through their own biometric feedback loops. We will show you that being unreadable isn't about what you hide, it's about what you choose to broadcast. Machiavelli taught you how to hide in the shadows. We are teaching you how to own the light. Stay tuned. The Mirage is more real than you think.